Alright, let's go. Wooden Spoon SuperCoach here, home of the worst SuperCoach advice on the internet. Going over some pods today, below 5%. We've got a few over 5% that are just worth mentioning. Before we get into it, there's the code for the group league. We've got 40 people in there now, which is fucking mad. It's going to be very competitive. I've raised the budget to $20 for the trials, as you can see. So hopefully that gets a little bit more interaction. If you want to leave comments for bets, I'll leave a link in the description to the video. Just comment, keep it in the format as the other comments, and I'll pick, actually no, fuck it, I'll pick it at the end of this video and get those bets put on. Anyway, pods, we're going 5% and below. There's a couple that are higher than 5% that are just worth mentioning, and we'll start off with those. So to start, we have, I have no idea how to spell this, Adam Dewey. When he was playing regularly, he was scoring a lot higher than that pretty consistently, but you know, with injuries, match fitness obviously affecting him a little more than a little bit. He's a wait and see, like every fucking player in SuperCoach is, except for a select few. But yeah, wait and see how he goes. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on him in the trials. I'm going to be sweating my balls off with notes watching the trials because I really want to get my cheapies right. So yeah, Dewey's a good option, as well as a couple of triple barrel names. I can't type. Tuivasa-Sheck. Oh, I've actually managed to get both of them there. That's cool. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck with Tane Tuapiki out. He'll be starting at fullback. We haven't really seen him come back to the heights that he was at when he was playing regularly, but if he's going to do it, fullback's the spot he will. So just over 5%, worth a mention. And Fisher Harris with Tohu Harris leaving, one Harris in for another. Minutes to fill there, he could be quite the option as well. So those are the honourable mentions. We will move on to the actual pods now. KO Weeks. We did see him score fairly well last year. The Raiders started off well, and there are a couple more Raiders in this video that I think are good options and that I might look to get in. He also has that 5'8", and 5'8" is just a disgusting position outside of Luai, Metcalf, and then your guns like Burton and Munster. There isn't many options, so he could fill that option for you. If he's playing fullback, I quite like that, and I might even do that myself if he is named a fullback. So yeah, starting with him, don't mind it. Next guy hasn't really been much of an option ever. He might have had pockets of good form, but Dearden, it just feels like he will eventually have that season where it's like, fuck, I wish I had him, or I'm glad I had him. 60 points is a bit of an ask, and with how the Cowboys are going this year, maybe not. Maybe once they start to get a bit of cohesion in their side, he could be worth a look. That's pretty much all I've got to say on him. Eventually, Dearden is going to be that guy, so he's something to keep an eye on. We've got Skelly next. He's priced way below his season average, which is interesting. He is going to a new team, a very much a worse team, with about 10 points, 12 points of value. Are the Tigers that bad that he's going to lose 12 points on the average? I don't think so. But something to consider with Skelton is that a lot of us have a lot of Tigers already. Jerome Luai, Jack Bird, Taylor May, just to name a few. We don't want to go too Tigers heavy because they are fucking wooden spooners. Next one, I've seen a few high-level SuperCoach players putting this guy in. I can't fucking type today. That's not how you spell it. Sorry about this. Tuolangi. I don't really get it, but there's a lot of very experienced SuperCoaches putting him in, maybe expecting him to get more minutes. But with Charlie Geimer in the picture as well, I just don't see it, but I figured I'd mention him in case there's someone smarter than me watching this video who didn't think of him. Now, I recorded this once before, but I was tired, so I'm redoing it. And in that video, I thought Hammer had the center jewel, and I think that's why he's so low owned. You don't really want him at fullback. You can get a Pappenhausen for cheaper. But we have seen the potential that the Hammer has. And with Trey Fuller playing out for a while with an ACL, I believe, I don't think we're going to get that jewel on Hammer. If for whatever reason a fullback peaks and it's time to get rid of them, they have a bye coming up, Origin or something, although he might play Origin 2, there's a world where we can work Hammer in and he be really good for us. Campbell Graham underneath, not a pod, but I just want to throw in that I'm not super keen on him until I see him get some game time, which I think I've mentioned before. Next guy, a bit more of a gun. Jacob Preston. When I had Preston, I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, but he really put the ton in Preston. He was scoring very, very high, very, very consistently. And with the Bulldogs doing as well as they are, he's kind of had time to recover from his injury. At 4%, what is he? He's 25k more than IPAP. And when I say it like that, that makes me want to get him in. I think I'm going to find a way to work him in because he's so low owned. It's kind of the point. He's a pod. Next guy. The only hooker that's an actual hooker that I'm actually interested in is Jeremy Marshall-King. At the moment, I've got Sandon and Connor Watson in, but that's going to come back to bite me eventually when the Roosters have a bye. So I'm thinking my plan is to cash in on someone anywhere in the squad because I've got good jewels, move around Connor Watson, and maybe pop in Marshall-King or potentially Marmazelis, depending on who has better value. But yeah, 550k. He had a couple of injury-affected scores last year, which has brought his average down and therefore brought his price down. He is an injury concern, but he is kind of that number 2 hooker to Harry Grant. And I don't think there's many people wanting to ball out in the hookers at the start of the year this year, so maybe he's your option. Right. If Keon plays front row, how do you spell Key? Let's just go with that. Codlock. Okay, I'll remember that. If Kalamatangi plays in the front row, historically he scores pretty well and consistently in the front row. So I sound like a broken record, but we'll see what happens with him where he ends up playing. If I had to guess, I reckon they'll play him in the front row. It just kind of seems right. That's all I've really got to say on him. He's burnt us a lot last year, but we have seen the heights that Targo can hit. And at 3%, if he does come out and brain it, we saw him scoring 80s, 90s. I think he got like an 120 a couple of times at one point. But with Luai gone, he's not going to do that fucking go to the left and step to the right, unexpected every time. The ball might actually go to Tungo this year. So another one, depending on his break even, could be a really, really good option. DCE, I still want him in my team. I've just got Cleary in there at the moment so that the funds are there just in case I do need him. But Cherry Evans at 2%, it does worry me a little bit. He does have to slow down eventually, but there's just no signs of it. And Manly's early draw is really good. I mentioned in another video that I heard somewhere that Ches was pulling himself out of Origin to focus on Manly. I can't find it again, so it's probably bullshit, so just take that with a grain of salt. If it is his last year, he might want to see it out with Manly, who knows. But yeah, Manly's first 4 in particular is really good, and looking at that 2% owned, I want him. The next one, I don't know if something's happened here to make his ownership drop heaps, but Montoya. I understand people don't want both Bulldogs wingers. But to go down to 2%, has he hurt himself? I don't know. But at 2% on the Bulldogs wing, if he ends up there, I might have to get him in even though I do have Kiraz. Because if the Bulldogs really do stack on the points, could be very interesting. And at 400k, we could put him in over Howarth. But, you know, he's only 150 more than Jackson Purdue, so definitely an option. We get on to the Raiders now that I was talking about earlier. Hudson Young averaged fucking 70. When did that happen? I haven't looked into it too much. He must have had some like really high ceiling games. Either that or his floor is pretty high. So again, at 2% owned, he is a little more expensive than Preston. Maybe you just go with him, but Raiders forwards do tend to have a bit of a dog in them. Not saying Preston doesn't, he certainly does, but it's an interesting one. And so is the next Raider I've got on the list, which is Jamal Fogarty. 535k. With the uncertainty around the halves positions, he could be... last year he was really good, really nice and consistent, decent ceiling, made a bit of cash, 1% owned, which is wild. He'd be the kind of guy you'd want to bring in sort of if the Raiders kind of just peter through the start of the year and he stays around that price. Say a Lewis Dodd gets a nice cash injection, you can swap him out for Fogarty and have a little bit more of a consistent player depending on how the two of those guys go. Cool. Another one that's dropped a fair bit is Sean Blaw. 1%. I don't know if something's happened. Stefano coming to the team in the forwards, maybe that shuffles things up a bit, but Sean Blaw's a gun. He is an amazing player. He can score huge, and we've seen him score huge. So there must be some kind of reason why he's down at 1%, but that's something to think about. Now, this one I am quickly gonna check. Fuck, I just did that, didn't I? We're on to the last player anyway, so it doesn't really matter that I've fucked this up. But it's Dane Gagai, and he is at 0%. What the fuck? Let's have a look. Let's see what's going on here. Dane Knights. Is he injured? There are no players. He can't be losing his spot, can he? Like 0%? I get that he's really expensive, but like, if he drops a bit, even down to high 500s, I am getting him. He's just such a consistent beast. And 0% blows my mind. There has to be something going on there. But I don't know. We'll see. So that's the pod section of the video. We'll go over and pick the comment for the bets now. So we only got 3 comments, which is fine. It'll pick up as the season goes, I'm sure. So, hey Siri, pick a number between 1 and 3.
The answer is 1.
1. Alright, we're going top 4 Melbourne, top 8 Brisbane. Cool. I'll screenshot that and I'll stick it into the document we've got. Get those bets going and I'll see you over on the other screen. There we go, the bets are on. I also multied all 3 of them together at the bottom there just for a bit more juice. The next bets will be on week 1 of the trials, and we'll do an anytime try scorer for both games, and then we'll switch it up for the next ones. That video will come out once teams list are dropped, and you can leave your comments for bets on that video. But yeah, that's hopefully you got a bit more of an understanding of how this is like gonna work now that we've gone through once and actually picked some bets. So yeah, get involved. Thank you if you have been involved. Like, comment, subscribe, all that bullshit. And we'll see you in the next video. Hooroo.